I went to business school and really fell in love with sort of the challenge of non-linear, stochastic systems, right? So in business, it's about influence, it's about selling, it's about getting your ideas across. It's not in engineering, there's a right answer and there's a wrong answer. The light turns on or it doesn't. And it was in business school that we had a guest lecturer in one day who was a VC, and he basically just said what he did. And I fell in love like instantaneously and said, oh my gosh, that's what I got to do. And so that was like this pivotal moment where you get to talk to companies every day with new ideas and the smartest, most innovative people in the world. And they talk to you and tell you everything about their business. Like, who wouldn't love that idea? And so not long after I joined the company I was with at Sienna, they started a corporate development group doing M&A, and they also started a seed fund, or an early stage fund, I guess you'd say, with $100 million. This is back in the late 90s. Happy to say that I helped them lose almost all 100 million because of the telecom crash, but learned a lot in the process on somebody else's dime, and worked my way up from analyst, doing spreadsheets to doing term sheets. So I left there and I went to an institutional firm in California, sort of the NFL of VC, and spent a number of years in California as a VC. So worked my way up from associate to partner, and ultimately landed at Motorola. So I was running their venture program in the Bay Area, and which was great. And for two reasons primarily. One was we only had one LP. And so we were spending $150 million a year on cool gear that was everything Motorola at the time. We're talking cellular phones, set-top boxes, radios, everything, which was everything that I enjoyed. And then the other thing was that I could get into deals that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to get into, right? So venture capital is very much a network business, and you need to bring something unique to the table. And so I was bringing this business card of Motorola, which was, honestly, probably the second most active VC in the world at the time, next to Intel. And so that was terrific. So got into a lot of good deals, met a lot of good people, learned a lot. And then in 08, 09, the crash happened and Motorola essentially sidelined that part of the business. Basically venture has a 10-year feedback loop. Corporations that are publicly traded have a 90-day feedback loop. And when you're spending $100 million a year and you're going through a recession, there's a lot of pressure on the leadership to question those dollars spent. So long story short, I left Motorola and I went to a startup that I had funded, and I ran it as the COO. And it was a remote physiological monitoring company, basically a wearable device company called Zephyr. And ultimately we sold that business and to Covidian. So now it's a healthcare company within Medtronic, actually, ultimately. And then I sailed around the world for a year and a half. So I took a sabbatical. I convinced my wife to throw everything to the wind and sailed across the Atlantic and spent a year sailing around the Med with my two young boys. At the time, they were 10 and 6, and absolutely loved it. And it was just amazing, right? We were in, 18 countries in over 18 months, and homeschooled the kids and, traveled and soaked up as much culture and history as we could. And that was a super formative experience, highly recommended.